Welcome to We Are Women, Unapologetically, the podcast that talks about the good, bad, ugly, and awesome. Careers, life transitions, confidence, and everything in between. Because shift happens, but you don't have to do it alone.
Welcome to We Are Women Unapologetically. I am your host, Jessica Cumming. This week I'm bringing back an episode about something that can quietly influence every career move, boundary, and personal decision you make. Self-trust. You can make difficult decisions for your team, solve complicated problems, and guide other people through uncertainty, yet still second-guess yourself when the decision is personal. That doesn't mean that you're incapable of making the right decision, but it may mean that you have spent so much time responding to other people's expectations and preferences that you have learned to question your own judgment. As you revisit this conversation, I want you to consider, where have I been overriding what I know because I have been waiting for someone else to confirm it? Here is this week's Encore episode.
There used to be a version of you that didn't second guess yourself. A version of you that felt something and moved accordingly. No committee, no pros and cons list, and no waiting for permission or consensus. You just knew. And here's the truth, is that version of you didn't disappear because you got older. She didn't vanish because life got complicated. She went quiet because you were taught not to trust her. You were taught that instinct without evidence is reckless, that certainty without consensus is arrogant, and that moving without a backup plan is irresponsible. So you learn to override yourself. You learn to question what you felt, you learn to discount what you sensed, and you learn to act like you were okay instead of honoring what you actually felt. I want to walk you through what happened between then and now, and more importantly, how to get that version of yourself back. For me, it started when I was 9 years old. I was in Stockholm with my mother. We were visiting my brother, and this is way before GPS, smartphones, the internet, or anything that could guide you except for your own attention. We've been riding around in the subway all week, and somehow the entire system just made sense to me. The routes, the maps, the patterns of the stops, how everything connected. I wasn't trying to memorize anything. I wasn't trying to study it. I was just present. I was watching. I was noticing. I was paying attention. One day my mom wanted to go back to the market and I didn't. I just wanted to go back to the apartment. And here's what still amazes me and probably would get her in trouble today, but she let me get off that subway 2 stops before her. I was 9 years old in a foreign country and did not speak a word of Swedish. She didn't quiz me. She didn't repeat the directions. She did not hover. But she had been watching me all week. She saw me tracking our movements and she saw how alert and aware that I was. So she did what she thought was right. She trusted me. And even more importantly, I trusted myself. I stepped off the train, I walked out of the station, I looked both ways, and I knew exactly where I was and I needed to go. No panic, no hesitation, no internal fight. It was just a quiet, grounded direction. Now, every time I am on the public transit, New York, Paris, Sydney, wherever, I think about that moment. I think about how easy it was to trust myself, how natural it was to feel what I sensed. But somewhere between 9 and adulthood, a part of me got quieter. Not because she disappeared, but because I was taught to doubt what I felt. And the same thing has happened to you. So when did trusting yourself start to feel like something you had to explain? For me, it began around 17. That's when I started making decisions based on what was expected of me instead of what was true for me. That was when what will people think replaced what do I really want. That's when I started forcing myself to match expectations that I never agreed to. And it wasn't because I didn't know what I felt. It's that I had been taught to question what I felt first. And quite honestly, we all have. We have been taught that intuition must be explained, that instinct is irreliable, that responsibility means ignoring desire. We are taught that certainty needs consensus. And so we've learned to override ourselves. We feel something clearly and immediately we start to try to talk ourselves out of it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I'm not prepared. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I need more proof or more experience. But that 9-year-old in Stockholm, she hadn't learned any of that yet. She trusted what she sensed because no one had told her not to. And the pressure to distrust yourself is real. APA research shows that 59% of women feel pressure to meet others' expectations. And that pressure, it becomes internal noise. It becomes noise that interrupts your knowing. So I'm here to let you know that 9-year-old version of you, she still exists. She is just buried under years of conditioning. I want to give you a more recent example of this. I once bought a black car that I did not even want. Not because it felt right, not because it made sense, not because it resonated with me. I bought that car because my boyfriend at the time wanted me to. And here's what makes it worse is that it was my first brand new car. There was nothing wrong with my old one. I did not get the best deal, and there was no reason, absolutely none, to override my instinct, and yet I did it. I remember standing in the dealership thinking, this isn't the one. I really want the blue one. I felt it immediately, clearly, and yet I talked myself out of it. So I bought the car. And if you have ever sat in a black car in Texas in July, you already know that it's not just hot. It is like opening a door and having a wave of heat come at you like you just walked into a fire. But there I was. But it was never about the car. It was about the pattern of overriding what I sensed to make someone else happy, the pattern of doubting myself before I even checked in with myself, the pattern of hesitating, not because I didn't know, but because I had been trained to ignore what I knew. Once I saw the pattern, I could not unsee it. When you stop trusting yourself, your entire life starts outsourcing your knowing. You ask everyone else's opinion before you acknowledge your own. You delay decisions, not because you're unsure, but because you have been conditioned to think your instincts need permission. And then it shows up everywhere. In meetings, you have a point, but you wait to see if someone else does it first. In leadership, you show up for your team, but you second guess every call. In relationships, you sense the disconnect, but tell yourself you need more proof. And in your family dynamics, you hide what you actually feel just to keep the peace. You're still showing up, you're still doing the work, but something in you isn't fully in the experience anymore. And why is this? Because constant self-questioning scatters your energy. It dulls your presence. It disconnects you from yourself faster than pressure ever will. And here's the science that backs it up. The average adult makes 35,000 decisions every single day. When you don't trust yourself, every one of those decisions drain you. And here's what I've been sitting with lately. The time I spent doubting myself when I could have been building, the time I spent asking for permission when I could have been moving, and the time I spent second guessing when I already knew. I think about the version of me at 17 who started pretending instead of trusting. I think about the version of me at 25 who stayed in rooms that didn't fit. I think about the version of myself at 30 who kept overriding what she felt because she thought everyone else knew better. And I think about what my life would look like now if I had just trusted myself then. How much more energy would I have? How much more clarity? How much more presence? How many opportunities would I have taken if I hadn't been waiting for someone else to validate them first? How many rooms would I have left sooner if I had honored the signal the first time instead of the 15th? How many relationships would have changed or ended if I had just trusted my instinct instead of gaslighting myself into staying? And here's the thing about it is that I see so many women doing the exact same thing. Women who know something's off, who feel the misalignment, who are exhausted from forcing themselves to fit where they don't belong anymore. But they're waiting for permission, for the right time, for someone else to validate what they already know. And while they're waiting, they're not living. They're functioning, they're delivering, they are acting like everything is fine, but they're not alive. And that is the cost. It's not just the time lost, but the life lost. The version of you that gets buried under all the expectations, all the obligations, and all of the versions of yourself that you thought you were supposed to be. But here's what I need you to know, is that ends now. Not because you suddenly have it all figured out, not because you're never going to doubt yourself again, but because you are choosing to remember what you knew before anyone taught you to forget. You didn't lose your ability to trust yourself. It simply got buried under everything you were taught to prioritize instead. That 9-year-old version of you, she didn't disappear. She just got quieter. Every time you overrode your instinct, every time you discounted what you sensed, every time you chose approval over alignment, she dimmed a little. But she never left. This work is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before you learned to doubt yourself. It is about unlearning the noise that never belonged to you. It's about reconnecting with the part of you that moves with clarity, not because you know everything, but because you finally trust yourself again. So how do you build self-trust without blowing up your life? You start small. Self-trust is rebuilt in micro movements. The moment you feel yourself wanting to leave the conversation, honor it. The moment that something on your calendar feels wrong, pause before you override it. The moment an instinct rises, do not argue with it. Every time you honor what you feel, you strengthen that muscle, and every time you move with instinct, you reinforce your inner compass. Every time you stop waiting for consensus, you reclaim yourself. This shifts how you lead, how you relate, how you decide, and how you show up. Not because you suddenly know everything, but because you trust yourself again to navigate anything. Here's your clarity reset for this week. Check in with yourself before you check out. Once this week, just once, before you rush, please, or push through, stop. Put your hand on your chest and ask, what do I actually feel right now? And honor the answer. Not justify it, not debate it, not shrink it. Just honor it. If you skip this, you stay on autopilot. If you do it, you interrupt a lifetime of self-doubt. If you're realizing that you have been disconnected from your own signals for a while, download the Clarity Intent in the show notes. 10 minutes, one guided reset, a moment to hear yourself again. And if you're thinking, Jessica, I need more than just 10 minutes. I need a reset. Book your free clarity call, because this is something that you don't have to do alone. That 9-year-old, she is still in you. The one who trusts her knowing, the one who moved without hesitation, the one who didn't need permission to be certain. She didn't disappear. She just got quieter. And the time that you spent doubting yourself, the years that you've spent waiting for permission, the moments you overrode what you knew, they don't define you. But what you do now, that defines everything. So stop waiting for permission to trust yourself. Stop looking outside yourself for the answers you already have. And stop pretending you need more proof when you already know. You used to trust yourself completely, and you still can. If this resonated with you, share it with someone else. Subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And until next week, stay fierce, stay bold, but most importantly, stay unapologetically you.